We are back for another Tuesday at 2, and today we're going to paint a flower with a palette knife. So if you don't know what a palette knife is, it's this little tool right here. And I like this one that has the pointed tip, but there are lots and lots of different kinds of palette knives. And I started using this when I wanted to loosen up and really paint in a more impressionistic way, but I was having a lot of trouble because when I was using brushes, I was not able to just let go of that control that I felt like I needed to let go of so that I could be more loose with my painting. But the palette knife is what helped me to loosen up the most. I exclusively painted with this for a little while, and then I went back to a combination of the knife and the brush, and that's what I really like to do now. But I've got some stuff set up here, and we're going to use a palette knife, and I'm going to use a brush a little bit, and I'm going to show you how to paint a white flower. We'll just do a little white flower and some greenery. And we're going to use a limited color palette. So let me move this down, and I think you'll be able to see over my table really well. Here we go. So I've already put down just a wash. This is watercolor paper. You can use watercolor paper to paint on with acrylics. It works just fine. Sometimes it buckles a little bit, but you can tape it down or you can clip it down with some of these little office clips. Work really well just to hold it down. But I've already put down just a wash of Indian yellow, and I'm gonna use just like a little small flat brush to get us started. And I'm gonna map out where I want my flowers to live. So I'm gonna have, let's say there's one here. You don't always have to put a container with your flowers either. You can get really creative and loose. You do need to decide which direction you want them to be facing. And I'm going to let's do 3 white roses. Do 1, 2, and a smaller one up here. Make that one kind of big. And then we'll have like some greenery. Just something like that. All right, so another thing is that when you're painting something that is white, it is not necessarily white. So we're gonna be adding some color in here. I'm gonna mix up some green using black and yellow. And this green, we're going to start with the dark green. I'm going to put in here mostly where the darker spots are going to be. My light source is coming from over here, so I want things on this side to be lighter. Just use some of that while it's on my brush and scribble in a little bit of greenery while it's there. Okay, now I'm going to switch to my palette knife. And I'm just going to dig into my white paint tub, which it's dirty, but that's okay. And move this up a little bit. And I'm going to mix that into a little bit of that green. And I'm going to get a big roll of that on my knife. And I'm going to start going around that center. And I'm going to get this in there, and then we're going to put in a pretty background color. And then we're going to come back to our flowers. I will say that it is easier to paint with your knife on a canvas because it is stretched and pulled flat. And sometimes paper starts to bubble up and makes it a little bit harder. So for practice, it's okay to use paper, but you may get a little frustrated and you may want to practice on some inexpensive canvases if you're wanting to paint with a knife. All right, so you can see it's already mixing in some of these colors and making it easier for you to get that kind of marbly look. So I'm going to mix up some more of a lighter green, and I'm going to put in some leaves, greenery. But all of these colors that are underneath, you need to let a little bit of that show through. Okay, so I'm going to stop with the knife for now, and I'm going to work on my background just a little bit. So I'm going to try to choose a pretty color for my background, and you can use your color wheel to help you figure that out. So if my flowers are like a green and white and brown, those are warm colors. Well, the green is not warm. The brown is warm. Something that would look really good would be a pink. So I'm going to try out a pretty, let's see. Let's go with a crimson. And I'm going to mix in some brown and some white in there. So I've got some brown and a lot of white. And let's just see what happens with this. You could use your knife to do this, but I usually prefer to do my background using a brush. And then if you need more texture, you can come back and add that in with your knife later on. And keep in mind that acrylic paint dries a little bit darker, so I'm going to keep adding some white in there until it's the right pink for me. And that is going to be a pretty light one. Okay. So now let's go back to our flowers. and back to our brush. And this is a way to soften some of that palette knife work if it's a little bit too textured for you, or you feel like it looks a little too messy. I think I'm going to put some dark green in the center instead of that dark brown, and I think that's going to make it work a little better with my background color. And while I've got this dark green, let's pop a little bit of that in here and give it some more darker value in our greenery. All right, so if you look at the centers of these flowers, they all look almost like a circle. And I don't want that. I want it to have a more organic shape. So I'm going to change it a little just by adding in a few extra shapes, like the center is not a circle anymore. And I've still got some green on my brush, and I'm just picking up some white, and I'm going to define a few areas and make it really bright white in a few spots without covering up all of that marbly extra texture we got. And remember, I said I want my light source to be coming from this direction. So that means that I want to have some brighter whites over here on this side. And it may reflect a little bit there. And since our light is over here, then it may be that you want to get really moody with it and make your background darker on this side, as well as some of the leaves. So one thing we could do is really lighten up the leaves over here. Make them stand out as a lighter value. Maybe a little hint here and there of lighter color on this side. But let's make this background over here a little bit darker. And so we'll just do that with that red and brown. I think it's going to need to be darker than that. So I added more brown. Maybe even more brown. It's going to make it even moodier. And you'll have to find a point where you want it to start to transition from the dark to the light. Let's see. And it doesn't necessarily need to be halfway, because that's going to look a little too planned. So let's see, I got too much red there. But you can kind of see what's going on here now. We're going to almost ombre over into this section with it lighter over here, moving into darker over here. I think we need some darker leaves. All right, and then I can get my knife back out, especially with these leaves, and give it some extra texture. And you could even grab some of that pink and give your background a little texture too. Let's see, like right here, I feel like it needs to blend a little bit more. And then I think we'll be good. So painting in this loose and expressive way is super fun. And I know there are a lot of people who have asked me, how do you get loose like that? How do you let go of the control that you want to have when you sit down to paint? And honestly, I don't like to sit down to paint. I like to stand when I paint, and that helps me to be able to move around and turn, and it's almost like a full body experience when you paint expressively, because you're going to want to have that extra room and that space, because you're not going to want to paint like this, like if you were sitting at a desk and writing. You're going to want to have freedom and movement, and that helps you to really loosen up. So here's what we accomplished in just a very few minutes. So it didn't take us long at all to do that. Another thing I think I want to do is add just like a little hint of white here or there. Okay, and this one is done. I really should have done this in my sketchbook that I'm doing all of my expressive florals in, but I just forgot to do that today. Also, I wanted to tell you that I am in the process. I've got all this back here is part of a new course that's coming out. September the 3rd is when it starts. It's going to be a once a year type situation. I'm not going to do this on an ongoing basis. We're just going to do this once a year. It's 3 weeks long. You're going to get information that is pre-recorded to help you to loosen up, to create artwork that tells your story, and it's going to be great. So if you want to sign up and get on the wait list, so you'll be the first to know when this new course is available and open, you can do that over at my website, artbymandahilburn.com. I'll put a link below when the video's done. But we're going to be painting loosely. We're going to be learning about how to paint from your hands, your head, and your heart, because those are the 3 things that I've found are the most important, the things that you have to have working together to create your best work. And this course is not for anyone who has never painted before. This is going to be something aimed more at like intermediate painters, those of you who already have supplies, you already have been painting, and you're just ready to level up. So I'm really excited about it. It's called Painterly. That's the name of the course. If you go to my website, it's up at the very top. You'll be able to click on the little button and sign up and get on the wait list. And in the meantime, I hope that you can find things like this that are helpful on my website. I've got lots of free YouTube videos, tutorials, all kinds of things that you can be working on in the meantime. And there's some other fun things that are coming up in the next month or so. So you guys just keep watch and I'll be here on Tuesdays at 2. I won't be live next week. I'm going to be out of town. But, or I say I won't be. I don't know if I will or not. But normally we do this on Tuesdays at 2 o'clock. And then I take the video and I put it on my YouTube channel and post it to my blog. So if you have trouble trying to find all the videos, the replays here on Facebook, you can always find them over on my YouTube channel. And it's just Amanda Hilburn. That's the name of the YouTube channel. Or you can find them on my blog, on my website. And let's see if I can hold this up. This is what we accomplished today in just a very few minutes. So I hope that it was something that inspired you, made you want to go paint, and I hope you'll go do that now. So I'll see you next time. Bye.